Hello, hello, hello. So, I thought I'd do a live. I haven't done a live in ages, and I've not done a live in ages on my personal Facebook page either. So, I just felt to come and do a live today from the woods. So, live from the woods. And it's a gorgeous, lovely, sunny day. The sky is blue. The sun is out, as you can see. It's glaring on me. And I'm in the woods, and the woods is looking luscious and green. So I was just having some thoughts this morning, as I always do in my quiet time. And then I got to thinking about living superficially versus living deeply. And yeah, just the number of things that are going on in the world, and how a majority of people, and I say a majority of people because, you know, I've decided a long time ago to not live superficially. I'm a deep person. If you know me, I'm a deep person, and I don't do well with superficial conversations, things like that. I like to get deep. I like to know what's going on with people. And yeah, I was just contemplating on that. And then I wondered how much time people spend in contemplation, just taking that time out to pause and to breathe and to contemplate and to consider the life that you're living. Is it truly a life that you desire to live, or are you living a life that shows up well on social media? Are you really taking into account, you know, your past, from where you've come from to where you're going? What brought you here? What brought you to this place now? Because, you know, we didn't just arrive just like that. You know, there are experiences that we went through along the way that has made us to be the people we are today, that has steered us in a direction and to the place that we're at now. And looking back, not on regret, but looking back on, yeah, I remember going through that experience. Yeah, that experience hurt. Yeah, that experience was fun. That experience was great. I wish I could live that again. But rather looking back and saying, okay, yeah, that was a lesson I learned from that situation. That was a lesson I learned from that breakup. That was the lesson I learned from that hurt. That was the lesson I learned from that fun time. That was the lesson I learned from that individual. And this is what, from learning that, this is what's made me who I am today, if that makes sense. And then I got to thinking about how much time we really spend, pausing and breathing. You know, whenever I teach my pause and breathe workshops, and one of the interesting things that people usually say to me is like, oh my goodness, I really need to be mindful of my breathing. I don't breathe that deeply. And we don't. If we're living superficially, we don't. If we're living in the rat race, we don't. We don't breathe deeply. We don't know how to, because living in the rat race, living superficially, is all about survival. So then your breath will be shallow, because your body biochemically needs to get you from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other, fast, urgently, in a hurry, at a fast pace. So when we pause, when we take that time out, and this is all part of living deeply, when we take that time out just to pause, whether it's for 1 minute or whether it's for 100 minutes, but just taking that time out to pause and to breathe deeply, really feel into your breath, then that gives us the opportunity to have that spaciousness that we will desire, and that relief from the stress, from the pressures, and to really contemplate on who am I, what do I stand for, where is my life going, And am I moving in a direction that's aligned to me? Or am I living a life that I want to show up great on social media? You can hear that noise in the background. It was very lovely and quiet here before I started. But nevertheless, I will still carry on with my live. Hopefully you can still hear me. I forgot my earphones. So in living deeply, we also get to look at despite the problems, despite what is going on in our lives, what lessons are we learning along the way? And you might say, well, you know, I haven't got time to think about those things. I haven't got time to contemplate. And contemplation is not about, you know, you sitting there and sitting poised, cross-legged, coming into the woods, or sitting on top of a mountain, or waiting till you retreat somewhere quiet to contemplate. No, you can actually be contemplating in everyday life. It only takes a minute where you just sit, pause, and just think to yourself, okay, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? That's contemplation. And then with the questions comes the deep listening. Are you listening to the answers that come up? Or are you just pushing them down, suppressing them? That's all part of contemplation. And also my question to you is, are you living a life where you desire to see transformation in your life? Or are you living a life where you just touch on different experiences as you go along? I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it was titled something like "Do This," the cure for burnout. So, of course, as many of you know, that my history of burnout and my work is around burnout and stress. So I was intrigued to listen to it, and a guy called Prince EA. Apparently, he's a spoken word artist. He was a hip hop artist, and he was speaking with Drew on his podcast, and they were just talking about life, how we're living life, where we're going in life, the importance to pause and breathe, the importance of just taking time out and not being swayed and swept away by the dictates of social media, fans, and different types of things that they were talking about. And it really resonated with me, because I'd made a decision earlier yesterday to pause from an activity that I've been doing, just to pause for August, because I desire more spaciousness, to contemplate, to listen deeply. What is the next step? Where am I going? Rather than just showing up and just delivering for the sake of delivering. Because I don't like to do that. And I want to, with my messages going forward, I want to speak, I want to write from a deeper place of knowing. I don't just want to put out content. I don't just want to put out posts or videos just for the sake of satisfying someone's superficial needs, for the sake of satisfying the social media algorithms, for the sake of satisfying someone's desire to get tips. That is not me at all. It really is not. So with the spaciousness now that I've got, I get to contemplate, I get to answer questions, I get to listen deeply to the answers that come up, and that's already started for me this morning. So I encourage you, if you're in that place of stuckness, if you're in that place of feeling lost, misguided, or you're just like, oh my goodness, I just don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what the next step is, I invite you to be bold, be courageous, and just say, you know what, I'm going to take some time out for me. I'm going to ask myself some deep questions, and I'm going to listen deeply to the answers that come up. And then consider what your next steps are. Yeah. And I think that's it. I think I'm done with my broadcast for today. So let me know, what do you take away from this? What do you take away from what I've shared, if anything at all? Maybe you might need to listen to it a few times before it resonates with you. But if you're listening to it with a superficial ear, if you're listening to it with a hurried mind, you're not going to listen deeply or hear deeply what the message is. So I encourage you to take time out and listen to this deeply. All right, so if you decide to know more, if you don't know anything about me, and you desire to know more about me and my work, I've got a range of pause and breathe audios as well that I've created that you can listen to help you shift into that space of rest, of deep rest, living from deep rest, and peace and calmness. Then check out my Linktree site. It is around the video. And if you've got any questions, you want to DM me, please do so. And I'm just going to end with inviting you to just pause for a minute here and do some breathing. I'm just going to turn the camera around so you've got the scenery of the woods. And for now, I wish you a wonderful day or evening, whatever time it is that you listen to this, ahead. So let me just turn the camera around. And I invite you now to take a seat wherever you are and have your back rested, your head free, feet flat on the floor, or if you're sitting cross-legged on the floor or lying down on the floor. And just take a deep breath in through the nose into your belly. And as you breathe out, just surrender anything that doesn't serve you. And again, take a nice deep breath in through the nose into the belly. And as you breathe out, just surrender anything that doesn't serve you. And one more time, taking a nice deep breath in. And exhaling, just releasing any stress, any concerns, any worries. Just release them, let them go. Any hurt, any grief, anything that you're suppressing that is just causing you upset and suffering, just let it go. Release it. And if you have a faith, if you believe in God, just release it to God. Just allow Him to take your hurts, your pains, your concerns. With every exhale, just release them. Let them go. And as you're in this place of stillness and surrender, simply ask yourself, what is my next step in life? You can ask yourself, how is it, or how am I living? Am I living superficially, or am I living deeply? What are my boundaries like? Are my boundaries superficial, that I just move them easily to satisfy people, to people please? Or are my boundaries deeply rooted in my values? Are my boundaries deeply rooted in who I am as a human, as an individual? Ask yourself, am I showing up from my true self? deeply from my true self? Or am I showing up superficially to look good in the eyes of others, to look good on social media? Am I really living my own life? Or am I living a life of someone else's expectations? Softly take an inhale into the belly and slowly exhale through the mouth. Slowly inhale and slowly exhale. Slowly inhale and slowly exhale. When you're done, just gently wiggle your toes, your feet, your hands, your legs, sway through your body, roll your shoulders, gently move your head from side to side. If you have your eyes closed, gently roll them from side to side or up and down. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Give yourself a nice big stretch and enjoy your life going forward.